Hey everyone, I'm Brooks Noonan, Industry Principal here at NTT Data Business Solutions, and I cover our discrete manufacturing organizations that we work with on a day-to-day basis. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about how our very complex, low-volume manufacturers really try to optimize their overall supply chain and really optimize their organization, leveraging the SAP solutions. And so here at NTT, what we really try to help our organizations do that we're working with is become more efficient in their overall processes, whether that's on the front end when you're working with customers and especially for very complex manufacturers doing all the engineering and design processes, or whether that's all the way through the supply chain where some of those organizations might be servicing their customers and doing field service work out on those machines and tools that they work with and produce. And so with that, today we're going to talk about really four main areas that those organizations can improve, whether it's leveraging the SAP solutions or just looking at different tools that they might be able to use on the IT side of things. And so the first thing that I see with those very complex manufacturers that maybe don't have high volumes, one thing that we're seeing is very disparate systems. So when you look at those complex manufacturers, a lot of times it's a very configured to order or even engineered to order process. You have the design tools up front, all your computer-aided design tools that are out there that your engineering team might be using. Along with that, you have your customer service team that's leveraging all different types of CRM tools and quoting solutions. Then you have your ERP system where people are actually performing and producing those tools and products that you have going out in the field. And then lastly is, as I mentioned, that field service element of your service technicians constantly keeping those systems up and running those products that you have out in the field at your customer sites potentially, or even at some of your own facilities. And so the issue with that is a lot of times the systems are very disparate, and what the engineering team is saying doesn't always transition to what the quoting team is saying, doesn't always transition to what the production and field service team is working on and executing. And so this is where SAP has done a great job of combining those things together. I see a ton of value in leveraging the SAP solutions to connect each of those separate entities or elements and bring those together. So that way the engineering team, as they're making updates or working on a specific customer project, that's automatically updating things, both for the customer service team, as well as the production side of things as well. And then same thing as the field service team goes and does any swaps of parts or makes any adjustments out there in the field, we're able to track that asset history. And so that way the customer service team is updated to that information. So that's one thing that's a real key element for these types of organizations. The second two I'm actually going to pair together. It's the demand forecasting along with the supply planning elements. And demand forecasting is very difficult for a lot of our complex manufacturers because there's so many options. Things are very, a lot of times engineered to order. And actually a great capability inside of SAP is a way to forecast certain options that are available on your machines or tools. So if you have something that's very configurable, what SAP can do is it can look at all those different options and then be able to help you forecast the most optimized ones or select the best fit ones. So for example, if you've got a small, medium, and large option available on a tool or system that you have, and a high percentage of the time people are selecting that medium option, we're able to use the forecasting tool to split those percentages accordingly to those selection options. Great way to have a configurable solution, but also leverage those advanced forecasting functions that SAP can provide. So it's a really helpful way on the demand side. The same thing is also able to be done on the supply chain optimization side. So again, for those complex manufacturers, things are very engineered specific to a customer, and it's difficult to forecast some of those lower level items. But what we can do is we can leverage some of the SAP tools. One that I'm seeing a lot of customers leverage nowadays on the manufacturing side, we call demand-driven MRP. So taking a look at all the items that you have out there that you eventually get from a supply side of things, and looking at their not only consumption patterns, which is really key, but also their inventory values, and making sure you have a service level target to hit those. Because if you have items that are high value but are very sporadically used, you're going to want to plan for those in a totally separate manner than something that is high value but very constantly used within the business. You're going to want to have different inventory turns and different inventory strategies for those types of items. So pairing that demand side with that supply side is extremely key to optimizing the supply chain. We're seeing a lot of organizations keep those service levels up with their customers, but really reduce the overall cost that they're working with. And the last one that I wanted to bring up is actually around the people side of things, around organizations and the personnel that they have. These complex manufacturers, the study was done in the aerospace and defense industry, right? So a lot of very large projects and machines that go into that space. That 1/3 of that workforce is 55 years and older. And so making sure you have the right approach and the right tools to bring in that next generation is really key. A second study by McKinsey in 2022 said that 40% of employees, 40% in these types of industries, the discrete manufacturing industries, plan to leave their job in the next 3 to 6 months. So the turnover that you have from an organizational standpoint is something really important to address. And what SAP can do is it can bring those next level technologies to make sure that you're changing and enabling some of that older workforce, all the while leveraging new tools, AI, new user interfaces, to make sure that you're bringing in the best talent to facilitate that change from that older workforce that's transitioning. And so those are some of the key things that we see for complex, low volume manufacturers is one, connecting those systems together all the way from engineering through delivery and field service. Secondly is optimizing the forecast and supply chain planning capabilities. And third is focusing on your people and making sure you have the right tools to enable that group to really grow your organization moving forward. Thanks so much for taking the time in today's session, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.